Welcome back to another Big Weapon video, and today's video is an opening video on 3 new pieces that I've just had arrive in the post yesterday. Now I do apologise for not filming the actual opening of the items, which I would normally like to do. Well, actually I did film it, but at the time I had the flu, so I had to do it in bed, where there was poor lighting in the bedroom. And also I was coughing, splurting, sneezing everywhere. Oh god, you probably would have got ill just watching it. I was horrible. I'm still not great now, so I do apologise guys if my voice is a little raspy or I do start coughing. I'm still ill, but I wanted to share these pieces with you as early on as possible, especially as one piece is actually a Christmas present for a family member of mine. My mother-in-law, to be precise, so, or future mother-in-law at least, anyway. I need to get this video done and dusted so I can go wrap up a present. Okay, so this is my personal piece. This is something you'll be familiar with if you've been on this channel before. It's a bowie knife made out of pattern steel, or Damascus steel as it's sometimes known, with a two-tone micarta handle, and it's full tang with the Damascus steel going right down to the end of the knife. It's very good knife. I love this knife. I use it for cutting up my dog food. I feed my dog raw meats, so I'm dealing with bones, sinew, organs, lots of different kinds of, you know, very tough materials to cut through, and this cuts through it, you know, no problem whatsoever. Sometimes you've got to put a bit of force into it, but it will get through it, including bone, small bones at least anyway. And I did, just so you guys know, I did about an hour and a half of preparing food yesterday for my dog, so he's got a whole week's worth of food, and yeah, it didn't struggle whatsoever with it. I had to sharpen it afterwards just to get it back to razor sharp, but it lost hardly any sharpness at all over the process. And as you can see, that the blade is fine, it's no damage, and it was no effort really for me. My hands weren't aching by the end of it, so it's a brilliant blade. And this is what we're going to be using to compare the new pieces against, okay, because this is something I'm familiar with, and I know that this is a good blade. So if these are equal to this or better, then they are fantastic quality. If they're lesser, doesn't mean they're necessarily bad, but it gives me a rough scale to work with, okay. So the piece that I bought for a Christmas present from my mother-in-law, of all things, is this piece here. I just put it in its sheath. I don't store it in a sheath, but there we go. There we go. So it's arrived. I store it out of sheath, and if, guys, just one point that I'll make now: if you have any high carbon steel weaponry or pattern welded tools or weaponry or anything like that, do not store them in their leather sheaths, because the sheath promotes rusting. It just holds potential moisture and stuff like that in there, so it'll rust the blade quicker than it would otherwise rust just storing it in a cupboard. Okay, if you were to, you know, not give a shit and store it however you wanted. But this is the blade in question once I've taken it out of the sheath, which does come with the purchase free, or at least included into the cost. I am paying for it, but it's included in the cost. And I'm just trying to show you here the pattern that is on the blade. Because this is a thicker blade, it's a lot easier to show the pattern than on mine, and because it's brand new as well. The pattern I find on pattern welded steel, it doesn't fade as such, but it when you clean it, it takes a little while for it to be as obvious as this. You can see this has got what's called a firestorm pattern on it. Mine's a different pattern. It's a lot more subtle pattern anyway, so you can't really see it on mine, but I just wanted to show you the beauty of that. That is beautiful pattern. And it is a sign again that it is pattern welded. Now it is full tang. You can see where the tang goes down to here on the bottom of the handle, and it's got brass fittings for the finger guard and just for the base of the handle. It is a rosewood handle this time rather than micarta. I have micarta on mine, but I got rosewood for this. Overall, basic first impressions is I'm very impressed. In fact, I feel like I'm a pirate. It's like a mini cutlass. It feels like a mini cutlass. Now, having learnt from my particular bowie knife, I got a knife that would more suit my mother-in-law than, say, that one. That one suits me perfectly, but one of the things that is hardest when preparing dog food, because she's using the knife for the same purpose, to prepare raw food for dogs, is cutting through bone. It takes sometimes quite a lot of strength, even with small bones and sinew and organs. Sometimes they can be tough. and she's not going to sharpen the blade to the same level that I do. Should probably bring it over here a few times every now and then for me to sharpen for her, but it's not, her blade's not going to be as sharp as mine, so as a result she's going to have to use a bit more brute force, which she might not have like I've got. Okay, so what I've done is I've bought a single-edged barry, so in comparison to mine's serrated, as you can see. Okay, on the back of my barry there's serrations, which means when I push down on here I have to be careful where I put my hand. I put it more here than here, because otherwise I end up hurting myself if I have to push down. But when you're pushing down, you're trying to cut through something which is really hard, it's nice to be able to put your hand on the back of the blade to be able to do that, and this is completely flat, not sharp at all on the back of the barry, so that's an added advantage. It's something that I was looking for her. The other thing that I was looking for was a grip, okay, and as you can see here, this is a very, very safe grip to use, because I'm a bit more experienced with knives and stuff like that than myself, being a martial artist. Now I know how to hold a knife safely, and I know the potential risky areas to put your fingers, so to speak. I don't want to sound patronising. Everyone knows that's the risky, that the pointy end and the sharp edge part of the blade is the dangerous part of the hold. But regardless, people don't really realise how easy it is on a normal grip for your fingers to slide onto this. If you're trying to sort of push with force and there's a bit of resistance, your hand can slip onto the blade. If you're not holding the blade correctly, or if you're unlucky. So I didn't want obviously that to happen to her, so I bought her, as I say, this one where there's an ergonomic grip. The ergonomic grip here gives spaces for the fingers, and again makes it harder for the hand to slip, but this ring guard makes it completely impossible. She puts her index finger, as I'm doing there, through there, then there's no chance at all of it slipping. The only thing that it can do is it can spin. Okay, so if she holds it like that and lets go of it, I don't want to do it because it is sharp, that's the only potential risk of injury with this blade, which I'll warn her about, just to always make sure you're holding it, and when you're letting go of it, you let go of your left hand as such. Okay, so you take it away with your left hand. Okay, because putting it down with your right hand, there's always that chance that you're going to let go of these and it's going to spin. Okay, but otherwise, as you can see, it's very, very safe, easy to use. Very well designed grip, and the blade is beautiful. Also, it's nice to have that there just to protect the thumb as well. So her thumb can't go onto what is a blunted side anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that gives a little bit of purchase. You can push against that with your thumb to get a little bit more strength in the cutting. As I say, if she's cutting through bone, that's something that's very useful. I'll give you guys one last look at the pattern of the steel, but it is very, very beautiful, as I say. Indeed. Now, I can't do a review video on this, guys, because I'm not going to have it. So, but it is totally hardened, high carbon steel, pattern welded, brass fittings, rosewood handle. I'm trying to give you all the facts now because I won't be able to give you later. And yeah, it's pretty badass. I love it. I like it. And I think she'll love it. And it comes, as I say, with a leather sheath, with a bout hook. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I need to tell you before I go? Well, at the end I will show you a sharpness test for sure. Okay, so wait till the end, guys, and you'll see if it's as sharp buying from the purchasers as through myself, who I get my weapons razor sharp. Okay, so we'll be able to compare the sharpness of on purchase on comparison to being a worked steel blade. Okay, so that's what it looks like sheathed. You put the fastener through the ring guard and you hook it on there. The only issue I've got is this is sometimes a little hard to push in because it catches a little bit on here and can't quite reach here, and so if you would hold it, you know, thinking it's hooked in, that can come off quite easily and the blade could fall out. That's the only negative I've got on it, but you know, I'm picking at things there because it shouldn't be in a sheath anyway most of the time. Certainly in England there's no reason to be walking out around here because hunting is illegal, so it's not like in America where you can go hunting and say, well, I've got my hunting knife with me and take it with you. Here you got no reason to have this outside the house as a kitchen tool as it's being used. Okay, right, so I've got another bushcraft knife here, particularly useful. This is for me, a little gift for me that I got for Christmas. I thought, well, if I'm getting something, I've got to get myself something. I'm getting someone else something. Not me being bad or anything. It's just I fell in love with this when I saw it. It reminded me of it's a Karambit blade. It reminded me of the Raptor Claw in Jurassic Park, the original one, and let's just show you the pattern to start with, so you can see the pattern quite nicely and easily. It's the same sort of pattern that was on my is on my Bowie, but you can't quite see it because, as I say, I've polished it recently, so there's not as much sort of gradient difference between that bit and that bit. The colour's a little harder to see on my. It's full tang, as you can see. The handle actually goes over what is essentially a blank blade. I think the handle again, yeah, it's actually two-toned micarta. I, for some reason, seem to like two-tone micarta. It appeals to my aesthetics, and it's obviously got two finger rings here. Okay, it's part of the, and actually it's got a couple of finger parts here to the grip also, sort of, I don't know what they would call them, finger dips, I don't know. But anyway, that makes it very easy to hold. As you can see, my hand goes straight into it. Now, I've got big hands, guys, so if my hands can fit in them, so can yours. I did give it to my girlfriend the other day, yesterday when it first arrived, and she actually struggled to get hands in because her hands were a little bit small. So this is actually being obviously designed for fairly, well, average to fairly large hands. She's got small hands, so and she's still got hands in. She just struggled to get both her index finger in and her little finger in. She was more putting her third finger. Was it the other way around? No, she was just struggling. She could really only kind of get hands like that. So, but that's not a problem. One finger ring is better than nothing. Okay, you don't need to use the second one. Okay, it's just obviously it's better. Two is always better than one, right? But I absolutely love that because it's completely safe and easy to use. And for me, what I'm going to be doing is with the raw food, we've recently been starting to buy bones. Okay, so we bought a cowed egg recently for the dog just to chew on with a bit of meat on, and it'd be nice for me to, in some ways, when we get boned meat, to be able to take the meat off the bone a little bit easier. And the Bowie, not very good for that. It can do the job, but it's not designed to do that kind of work. Whereas a curved blade kind of hooks around the bone, as you can imagine. If this was, I don't want to do it on me too much, and you can kind of scrape the flesh or the meat off the bone. So that's why one of the reasons why I did get this. It's what I'm going to be using it for, as well as just a display piece. I just think it's beautiful. Okay, it works both obviously right-handed and left-handed, and if you wanted to, I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's nice to have versatility. You can hold it Latina grip as well. Okay, so if you were to, I don't know, if you just need to kind of get to it, do an upward stroke rather than a downward stroke, because holding it like this would be more of a downward stroke. If you wanted an upward stroke, you could hold it like that as well. So it's nice to have that versatility. And like all pieces from Porcelain Knives, which is where I bought this from, it comes with a leather sheath. Okay. Which is stud fastened. Okay. Now that's the final thing to talk about. I am at the moment undergoing the project of building my own axe. Okay. More specifically, building my own Dane axe. Okay. Something I'm very passionate about, something that I really want to achieve. I have a Dane axe at the moment that is high carbon steel and it's 55-inch long, which is a bit on the long side. It's about as big as Dane axes get. Dane axes in length vary between 36 and 55 inches long historically. Now I might be a little bit taller than what obviously the average Viking used to be, being near 6'3", so 55-inch axe is fine for me. It's something I can use, but typically the bigger axes will either use the status symbols or because obviously you're in a ranked formation, a shield wall, and if you've got one of those big axes, you might not be in the front of the shield wall. Pretty obvious, right, because you're not holding a shield, but you'd actually be behind and you'd be kind of reaching over, and that length is useful. Well, I haven't got 50 Viking mates to form a shield wall and practice using a really big axe, so having a really big axe just feels cumbersome for me. And for me, what I like to do with it is I like to sort of shadow spar with it and practice historical fighting techniques, but I find because of its length it's cumbersome to use, not necessarily in the right amount of space, but it's cumbersome to use in the space that I've got. my garden's not big enough, and I certainly can't use it inside. Okay, so I want to create a slightly shorter Dane axe, nearer the shorter end of 36 inches, might go 40 inches, something like that. And I want to make it out of Damascus steel, or powder molded steel. And I thought I'd solved it. I've got the shafts, I've got everything else I need, the oil for the wood and preparations for the wood and stuff. And I thought I'd got the axe head, but this is the axe head that I ordered. Now it comes in a lovely sheath, okay, and the axe head, I'm not complaining about the axe head in the sense that it's perfectly made. It's a fantastic axe head, very high quality. It's as you can see, pattern molded, lovely pattern. I find on axes it seems to be that the pattern is much more obvious to see than on knife. I suppose it's because it's a bigger, thicker piece of steel. And we'll be doing a sharpness test with that later. But as you can see, it's tiny. Okay, well it's not tiny, but it's tiny for a Dane axe. Okay, the cutting edge is 5 inches. Now I knew that when I ordered it, but I didn't think 5 inches, because my Dane axe that I have currently, which is 55 inches long, and the cutting edge of the blade on that is 10 inches. I thought, well, if I'm getting a 36 inch blade, which is, you know, just over half the length of my current one, then having 5 inch cutting edge might just work, but no chance. This is way too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this axe head to practice my axe making skills. I'm going to use it to create throwing axes. Okay, well, a throwing axe. Okay, so I'm going to create my own Francisca. So you can imagine this on a single shaft. This is going to be a Francisca axe. Okay, and because I was very disappointed. I do have a pair of Francisca axes already, but I was very disappointed by them. I forget the forge that made them, but I wouldn't recommend them. Hanway, was it? Anyway, it was either Hanway or windlass steel. But the thing is, I know windlass. I've had a few pieces from windlass forges, and they're really good normally. So that's why I'm more. No, they were Hanway axes. The Hanway Francisca throwing axes are poor quality, guys. I wouldn't recommend them. But hopefully I can make my own one and practice and make my mistakes on a smaller axe that is going to break anyway. The thing about throwing axes, when you throw them, the haft breaks quite a lot, okay? Just because you're throwing it, it's taking a lot of damage. So being able to make, repair and fix whatever throwing axes, the hafts, and sorry, everything to do with the throwing axes. If I can practice on that before I get to my Dane axe, all the better. And really good news today, well, last night actually, but I've got a response today. I contacted a local forge that does Damascus steel, or pattern molded steel, and they are more than capable of and more than happy to forge me a axe head shaped whatever shape I want. So I don't know if I'll go traditional Dane axe shape. I prefer the bearded axe shape more. I've got a few ideas anyway, but they are more than happy to do any size, any specification axe head that I want, as long as I can afford it. And their prices so far, from what I could see, weren't too bad. Now if they come back with a massive quote, then I can't afford it. But it's something that is still very possible, and being able to have my own custom handmade, hand forged axe head that I put onto my own haft and everything, it's just going to have an element of pride to it, essentially, isn't it? To be able to have a Dane axe that I can call very much my own, because every part of it I've made, other than the actual forging of the steel, I've put together, I've made, and I've at least directed the forge as well on how to the specifications of the head axe head that I want. So they're the things that are coming, guys. I'm going to do a sharpness test now. I was just about to say goodbye, but I forgot I've got to do the sharpness test, haven't I? But as you can see, I'm quite excited about the future and things to come up that are coming up. So firstly, let's start with mine. Okay. Oh, that nearly fell off the worktop then. That was bad. Nearly dropped the new knife. So this is my knife, okay, the Bowie, okay. This is being sharpened really sharp, and it is sharp because I've proven it, I've used it. As you can see, it cuts through there like no problem whatsoever. Okay, so no problem whatsoever, proper razor sharp knife. Okay. My mother-in-law's, better not piss her off. She can come after me now. Who arms their bloody mother-in-law? I don't know. Have to be a nutcase, right? Anyway, her one. So this is factory sharpened. So some places which supply you with sharpened blades, they do sharpen but don't necessarily make them super sharp. Okay, so that we'll compare it to mine. Ah, okay, so that's good. No, that's very nice. I feel that actually in some ways, because of the shape of the blade. Oh wow, look at that for a cut. Hang on, I've just got to see if I can do the same. Let's do this, try and see that, because do the same in mine, because my blades are slightly different shape. I think that suits itself better for cutting. This bowie knife is actually very good for stabbing things with. So when say I've got frozen meat, I kind of put the blade into it and then kind of draw it down. It's very good for doing that. That one I don't think will be very good for stabbing, but it seems to be very good at slashing. So let's have a go again. Oh, the paper keeps bending. Okay, that's not worked. Let's get another fresh piece of paper. The thing is, sometimes when the paper goes like that, I don't want to do an unfair test. Okay, so compare the two. Ooh, is that blunt? Maybe I haven't sharpened this correctly. Oh, it's going through, but actually, as you can see, it doesn't actually. It's still sharp. I mean, it's still going through. It's still razor sharp. Kind of. Seems to be struggling along this side. That's really weird. Whoops. This is Big Al's videos, guys. I show it as it is, and my bowie's not as sharp as I thought it was. Seems to be struggling in that angle. But then again, let's try the same with this. So it seemed to be struggling to go down the grain. And so is this. There you go. I thought my bowie knife was messed up then. If you go down the paper, it seems to struggle. I mean, it's still doing it now, but it struggles to go down that way. But going this way, look how much easier it is. I mean, I can't not cut it. It's almost too easy. So that's a strange one. That's a very strange one. I didn't know that. But anyway, the whole point is that it's, as you can see, actually, it's probably it's either equally as sharp as mine, if not sharper, or it's just better designed for cutting. Now, let's do penetration. Okay, so my bowie knife through here works well with that. So that took very little effort. Okay, takes more effort not to catch your fingers. That's why I'm doing it slowly. I don't want to catch your fingers. Oh bloody hell no! You know what? I've bought a better knife than I've got. I'm bloody gel. My mother-in-law has a better knife than me. I can't believe that. Because the thing is, right, I actually did a sharpness test on that bowie knife. I don't know if I filmed it. The one that I've got, my personal bowie knife, and it wasn't as sharp as what it is now. When I got it, it struggled a lot more to get through the paper than it did now. It took force, you know, it took me to actually kind of push through it. So for that to come super sharp already, it's nice. It makes a change. Maybe it's just the shape of the blade. We'll test this one now. Right, so I've never cut with anything like this before. Right, it doesn't. It's more of a. So it's cutting when it gets to this part. Okay, so we just, yeah, see there you go. See, maybe it's the shape of the blade. Ah, there you go, and catching it at the right point. That kind of cuts it. I mean, somehow it's cut right there. So that's obviously not as sharp or as good for cutting as the straight knives. But if I was to say shave it, I mean, that's kind of what I've got it for. Yeah, I mean, it's fine once it's got a grip onto it. So I think that would be perfect for what I want to do, which is stripping. It doesn't have to be super sharp for that. And it'd be quite a hard blade to sharpen that because of the shape. But I'm still very surprised. I mean, obviously, we know that one's sharp, right? So there's no more needing to test that. But in comparison to my personal blade, it's a good thing I brought a lot of paper down. I didn't think I'd need this much. I mean, yeah, it is cutting. Oh no, it's fine. It's just it's not going as deep as that one. I think because if you look at the thickness of the blade any different. So I'm not sure. That's a better blade for cutting with anyway. Most definitely. This blade doesn't seem to be as good as this for cutting. There we go. So I've actually bought my mother-in-law a superior blade than myself. How very disappointing. Actually, I should be happy, right? It's a gift. Got a good gift. Right, the last and final piece. Right, I don't expect anything really substantial from this, and that's the axe head. Okay, let me just get it out of the sheath. Okay, now axes traditionally aren't as sharp as knives and swords. They don't have to be. They've got a lot of weight. This is heavy. I can feel it. Okay, so there you go. It hasn't cut at all. Okay, and there we go. So with a bit of a draw cut, it is cutting, but there you go. I mean, you can see the difference in sharpness between that and the blades. That is a lot harder to cut with. Absolutely beautiful though. So that's a lot harder to cut with. So it might either need some sharpening, but to be honest, axes, they don't need to be as sharp as blades, and they shouldn't actually be because they're designed to do more heavy duty work. So for example, those knives that are sharper are more likely to break on use, you know, chip. The edges will chip that little bit easier because they're sharper. It's just more likely in comparison to the axe head, which one has a lot more steel behind it, but also because it's not as sharp, it's less likely to sort of snap off little bits. And because this is going to be used as a throwing axe, I don't want it razor sharp. One, if I miss. And two, because I don't want to break the actual axe head. So there you go. At Big L's videos, you get the truth. You see that I actually arm my mother-in-law with a better knife than myself for as I say, the dog food. I can't believe that. You know what's really annoying me is the pattern as well on that. It's picked up perfectly, whereas this, it's really struggling. I don't know if anyone actually has any pattern welded steel, guys. I can see it. I mean, you might be able to see it a little bit on the handle. Yeah, it's still there on the handle quite easily. But after usage, it seems to be that the pattern, I can see it with my own eyes. It's there and I can feel it. If I run my finger across, I can feel where all the bumps and rivets are. But I think I've over cleaned it. I think I've taken, I don't know, the colour gradient out of it. Anyone's got any ideas on that, let me know. Because I'd like to get the pattern back, you know, really obviously. Maybe I just shouldn't clean it for a little while. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But anyway, guys, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.